ships were floating, and they started to wonder about how would you make this ship sink. And Jack tried crashing the ship into the side of the bucket he was playing in, but it didn't sink. And the kids all called for ice. We need an ice pick. Another way we used the studio was to invite kids to explore the idea of ships, of boats.
Neil doing it, or it's the other company, right?
It's that other company, yeah.
I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so they're
So,
fixing whatever,
yeah.
yeah, that was weird, I don't know how, but, here's,
I have no idea how it all happened.
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
should we just go with 50 and then order more for this fall? And I don't know. Okay. Hello, how are you? I'm fine, how about yourself? Good, thanks, I'm Janet from the library. Hi, nice to meet you.
Oh,
I'm Heidi. Heidi, yes, we talked on the phone. Oh, okay. Like, oh, you got stuff for Craig.
I do. And
And
much appreciated.
here he is.
Hey.
Hey, Janet.
Hi, Craig. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Okay.
this.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Because we're going to have to start getting more selective as we get down the list.
Right.
But,
Okay.
but some of the things have gone out a lot.
Right.
So I just have the memo here. I
Okay.
didn't do like the packing slip because you probably don't need to put the times on.
No.
They'll be in the record, so.
Okay. Yeah, and those are ready to go back.
Woohoo! I have an extra box just in case. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
So, yeah, I don't, are these, so these are ones that are due for, they want them for January, right?
It's fine. I think she put December 8th or something on the memo, but
Okay.
any time is fine, really. We're just thinking because, now is quiet.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be asking for them. It's just
Right.
kind of a nice time
Right, right.
to get them done
Okay.
if possible. But no, January is perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah, because I'm going to be taking a good chunk, probably with the December Christmas off anyways.
Yeah.
And then I've got to use up my holidays for this year, so I'm going to be
Right.
gone for at least half of December probably.
No
anyways, so-
problem. Yeah, no, you need to take your vacation.
Yeah. And
We
then,
make sure you work hard.
but,
I love this. This is so cute.
oh yeah. Yeah, it's
The classic car by Pixar.
yeah, this is stuff I picked up.
Well, thank you so much. This is
Oh, you're
great. I know that, anyway, our instructors are just very attached to,
Well,
they're just very attached to their old media, and it's,
I just,
we honestly do try
yeah, I know.
to wrest it from their cold dead
Yeah.
hands and get them
Wow.
something newer, but
Yeah.
it's harder
Wow.
than one might think.
Oh, I know. I'm dealing with instructors even to, like again, using the USB sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't let go of those 3.5-inch floppies right now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oh yeah, it took a while like to convince them to,
Oh. Oh, I didn't
then
expect
don't-
to hear that.
Oh yeah, we go through this, 3/4 inch, laser
Yeah.
disc, whatever it was, always a issue.
Yeah, the ones that look like big records.
Yeah, and so it's always a challenge to get it to change. Or
I know. We'll just be getting all updated just for when DVD becomes obsolete.
well, that's just around the corner.
But we won't have to do anything with that. We won't be able to. Like, we
Yeah.
can either get the stuff streamed or we can't.
Yeah.
So there's no format transfers, no
Yeah.
nothing, because we can't.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. So,
Right.
well, I guess if we get special permission,
Yeah.
it is. So maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Just maybe, no, it shouldn't, stuff's like 30, 40 years old. Like,
Yeah, I know.
why are you showing this stuff? Like,
And the hair looks weird, and
Yeah.
I mean, the kids are not going to. There was one that the instructor just loved, and it was actually about doing presentations, and no word of a lie. It was, the part that was valuable was like the planning, how you plan a
Yeah.
presentation when you were on the board and everything. But then he was like, and you have to have your overhead projector, and you have to have your television set with your VHS queued up, and honestly, he had about like 5 pieces of equipment for anything that, and you can just do it all in PowerPoint now.
yeah.
And I was sort of thinking, I hope he has a good joke he makes at that point.
Yeah.
But why didn't he just take the part where the guy wrote it on the board, steal it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and write it up on the board himself?
Yeah.
And the students would think, oh, brilliant.
Yeah. But to show a 40-year-old video explaining this, it's crazy.
And like I said, the planning part was extraordinarily good, but it was only a few minutes. Like, he could have easily just captured that information and written it himself and it is his own idea if he wanted to.
Or put it in a PowerPoint presentation.
Precisely.
Or we could have reshot the video and, updated people and that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's crazy, but we sure do appreciate it. So I'll get these ones back, and whenever you can, we would be grateful.
Yeah.
And have a wonderful vacation if I don't
thank
see
you.
you before.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the problem is these machines, they don't make them anymore, and they're dying. And we were able to find one on eBay, so hopefully we get it.
Great.
But this one works okay, but it's not ideal. It's because it doesn't have the remote and that, things like that. So.
What about the thing where you just have a VHS player and then you run it through your computer and then you burn it to a disc? Is that terrible quality?
Yes, because it especially some of them are okay. It depends on the condition of the VHS tape. But I've tried that, and it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Depends on the quality of the VHS tape, and usually they're pretty bad by the time I get them.
Well, they're all old. I mean, I've been in the job for like 9 years. I think I bought one VHS the whole time I've been in the job. It's all been DVD and streaming, and so they're all old.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell by the year on the call number.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're just, this one's a newer one probably, but it's probably from the, I'm guessing from the 90s maybe.
We did try our best, actually. I contacted the CBC, and this
Yeah.
really nice woman said, "Oh, I think this is the same as this frozen in ice," and blah blah blah. And I said, "Well, it looks like it was re-released as an episode of The Nature of Things, with a narration by David Suzuki. So yes, I think that's the same thing." She was like, "Oh, that's actually not available either." Urge to kill.
Right. Get you all excited. And,
not available under either title, so okay, we're doubly sure that we can transfer that one.
Yeah.
But an instructor uses it all the time in class, so.
Yeah, well,
I guess if it's about the Franklin expedition, it doesn't really matter if it's
Yeah,
on the older side, but like he probably looks worse than that now, but
yeah.
he doesn't look better, that's for sure.
But it's just, that, it's like when I was in school and seeing these National Film Board films from the 1940s or whatever.
I know.
This is so old.
We have one that's making fun of, I think it was Cinema Verite. I think it's available streamed, and we also got it on DVD just to be on the safe side. But it starts off making fun of an actual old NFB film where they're talking about the importance of the safety of a ladder.
Yeah.
And all about the types of ladders and what they're used for and how you transport them. And it is like so boring and static. Like, we don't make movies like this. We don't make documentaries like this anymore. And thank God for it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, much appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll see you later.
Okay, see you, Jen. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
to stand out higher quality than most of the stuff that you see out.
In this episode, I want to take you through a really inexpensive way to get live streaming with a single camera. Now, in my previous video over here, I made a multi-camera setup where you have to have 3 different cameras and all these different devices, and things can get pretty expensive. But for this video, I want to just take it right back to basics and just go for I'll take you through what I use. Now, this does not include the price of a laptop. That's the first thing. And so that's the first thing. You get a laptop to plug these things into. Next up, I'm going to talk about the camera. So for this setup, a really cheap option is to go for a GoPro. Here I have the GoPro Hero 5. What's cool about this setup is that you can also use the Hero 4 or Hero 3, and these are still available. You can buy them on eBay, used or new, and they're pretty cheap. So that's a way of bringing down the price of this whole setup. The Hero 5, for example, it costs around £360 to buy new, which is not a whole lot of money. But like I say, if that's a little bit too much, then look into the Hero 4 or the Hero 3, and you can get nice results out of those too. So that's the camera I'm going to use for this setup. And the next step is bringing the camera's signal into your laptop. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. On the computer here, I have a few options that you can use. I'm on the Epifan video website here, and I'm looking at the AV.io HD version. And what this basically is a way of taking a HDMI connection. Here you can see a little example of what they're talking about. HDMI, DVI, or VGA, you bring those into the device, and then you plug that in via USB. That's one option. Slightly less expensive option might be this USB capture card or capture device by Magewell, Magewell. And basically that just lets you bring in a HDMI connection. You can see it here. HDMI comes in this side, and you plug it into your computer via USB. That's really nice. Those are really nice options for any Windows users out there. In my case, I can also use those for the Mac, but the one I'm using today is something I already have here, so I'm going to show that. And that is the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder from Blackmagic Design. What this lets you do is bring in a HDMI or even an SDI connection, this sort of more professional connection, into your computer via a Thunderbolt cable. So in terms of pricing for these two things, the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder, and you can find links to all these below the video, this will cost around £145, and the cable, the Thunderbolt cable, is not cheap, but it costs about £35, give or take if you can find one a bit cheaper. So that's a way of getting the GoPro signal through the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder into your computer. The next thing you're going to need for the connection purposes will be a HDMI cable. This is a full-size HDMI cable which will plug in here to the Mini Recorder, and on this side you have the micro connection which will plug into the GoPro. You can pick these up. This is an Amazon Basics one. It only costs about £5, so that's pretty inexpensive, and that's basically the way of getting your camera through a HDMI cable into the Mini Recorder through a Thunderbolt cable into your laptop. That's the main connection points. I also have these headphones here because I'm going to get to that in a minute, but that's all about the audio for this setup. But we'll get there in just a minute. You probably already have a pair of those lying around. If you don't, something similar will work just fine. So I think the next thing to do is to set these things up and take you through what you need to do. Over on the computer, I just want to show you the software that you can use for this. If you want to go for the free option, OBS is a great solution. Let's take a look at the website. OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software, and it is a free and open source software for recording and live streaming. Download it. It's available for, you can see here, for Windows, Mac and Linux, and you just download that and you can use it to stream or to record your stuff, which is pretty cool. You don't have to pay anything. I personally like to use Wirecast, which is a paid solution, but I want to keep this budget friendly, so I went for that free OBS software. So let's set these things up. I'm just going to bring in the included little GoPro housing, just so I can pop it on a tripod. It'll be a bit easier for me in a minute. You can see on the screen. And then within that, on the sources section,
or switcher, stream to Facebook Live. Our church just planted a new church, and they were wanting to stream on Facebook, not just through a phone, but through a camera with decent audio from their mixer. I'm going to describe to you 2 ways you can do this, one on a PC and one using a Mac. So there are 3 chains in the signal path to accomplish this. First is the external camera or switcher and audio hookups, or basically your video source. The second is the interface into the computer, and the third is the software that's on your computer. I'm going to start in the middle with the interface into your computer, because I recommend something different depending on whether you're on a PC or Mac. And then of course, that will determine which software you use. For a Mac-based solution, I recommend the Blackmagic Designs Ultra Studio Mini Recorder and OBS software. The Mini Recorder will bring an HDMI or SDI input into your Mac through a Thunderbolt port. On a PC, I recommend the Blackmagic Designs H.264 Pro encoder and MX Lite software. The H.264 Pro encoder also will bring in an HDMI or SDI signal through a USB port on your PC. Blackmagic Designs, the Mini Recorder will bring an HDMI or SDI input into your Mac through a Thunderbolt port. On a PC, I recommend the Blackmagic Lite software. The H.264 Pro encoder also will bring in an HDMI or SDI signal through a USB port. The H.264 Pro encoder pre-encodes the video for you in the box, so it removes this processing burden from your computer. The Ultra Studio Mini Recorder just passes the raw video signal into your computer, and the OBS software does the encoding using your CPU power. Each of these software programs are fairly straightforward to use. OBS has a preset for Facebook Live, and MX Lite has a support page that walks you through the settings to use on Facebook. The camera setup I recommended for them starts with the Canon Vaxia HF R700. For just over $200, this camera has a lot of great features that make it work well as an entry-level camera for live streaming. It has an HDMI output that can be cleared of any display text and is active when recording. It also has a microphone input and a separate headphone output. That combination of features is really hard to find on a camera in this price range, so kudos to Canon for making this camera. To take audio from the mixer, I'm using the ART CleanBox Pro. I like it because you can put just about any type of audio signal into it and connect that to your camera. It also gives you an additional volume control that you can use to control the volume that's going into your camera. I set them up with a Manfrotto tripod and head, and I didn't have big expectations for it. But I have to say, I was really impressed with this combination. For this size camera, it works really well. You can find all these things linked in the description below. So that's it, streaming to Facebook Live through a camera on a PC or Mac. I hope this video was helpful for some of you. Be sure and subscribe to my channel for more videos coming soon. And if you have any questions or
save up to 60% today only during our Cyber Monday vacation sale.
And we are live, I think. Yes, we are. So, we are here on YouTube. Hello, everybody who is here. Thanks for joining me. I've got yet another cup of coffee with me for this morning's streaming. And I wanted to share with you guys my setup right now that I'm using. And it's not going to be expensive to get into a great live streaming setup. And one thing I should note is that I'm using OBS software, which is free. I am on a Mac, but you could also use this on Windows, so no problem there. And you know, when I first started, I'm going to share with you 3 different things. And how we're going to do this, I'm going to share about the gear. I'm going to share about why I think live is on the rise of live, and I think that's the medium to get into. And then I'm also going to talk about, take your comments and questions if you have any as well at the end, all right? Because I know that the chats disappear after the live session's done. So hopefully you guys can hang on to the end. I'll try to keep it concise and short, but let's get started. Let's talk about the gear first. So the easiest way to start live streaming is going to be using your phone, right? Whether you're having an Android or an iPhone. I started with my old iPhone 5 and it was fine. But the one piece of gear that I really recommend to get if you're going to be live streaming on your phone is a good microphone. Because I just find that the microphone that's built in is okay if you're in a really quiet room, but if you ever want better intelligibility and if the message matters, then get a good microphone. And the one that I use and that I recommend is the SmartLav Plus. And this is not you know, there's other cheaper versions that are kind of knockoffs, like the giant squid and stuff like that. But really, it's not expensive. In Canada, it's about $110, which I think is expensive for Canada. But in the US, it's I think $60 or $70. and it's a clip-on mic, and it plugs right into any smartphone that has the microphone input. Now, even if you've got an iPhone 7 that this little port disappeared on, you can always use the included lightning to microphone input and still use it. So you're still in luck there, but it's going to give you a much better clarity of audio. And if you need room to move, because the cord that's included on the SmartLav Plus is pretty short, then go ahead and get this little extension cable, and that will give you another 20 feet of room. So you could literally just prop up your phone, walk over to the side, demonstrate something, you know, life size or whatever, and then walk back, and it can always hear you. You're not going to have your voice disappear as you walk away from your phone. So that's really nice there. So that's my first setup and what I start out with. But the problem with this smartphone is that when you're doing it live, especially on the Apple or the iPhones, is that you can't control the exposure or the white balance or the focus when you're going live. It's just you're at the mercy of the auto everything. And I really don't like that, because I guess I'm a control freak and I want the best quality possible that I can get. So when I moved over to the desktop, that's when I decided, oh, this is kind of neat. The Facecam camera on my MacBook Pro was a little bit better, but I also found that it was a problem with, you know, no control over the manual over there. And I'll put that in the description after this live stream is done, but it's just bit.ly/DD170407, and all the links are there. Now, this is what you're watching right now. This little camera is the quality that you're seeing that this can do. It's incredible. And so honestly, I think it's $60 US. It's about 100 or maybe $90 similar, and there's some that aren't into the microphone. So on the front of the microphone, you not only have the microphone volume, you also have an instrument volume, which you can have if you plug it in. That's out of frame because I want to show you more boxes later. But if I was to use this guy, I would literally put it right next to my mouth and make sure that I was pretty close to it. Because what it's going to give you is the large diaphragm. So they've got a nice big capsule in there to pick up the sound. But the closer you get, the better the bass is going to be, the mid-range as well, and it's just going to feel more present. All right. So if you want to get like a pro-sounding, like radio station sound, get nice and close to your microphone. And that being said, there's a couple other pieces of the puzzle that make this sound a lot better. One is going to be the shock mount, which I have listed there as well. And again, all links are over there. And here, I did break one of the little. We said this $60. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom of this page right now. And I'm planning to do a full review of this video light, but this, if you can afford it, and if you want to make it look like a studio and have beautiful, gorgeous light, then this is the light I would recommend. It is the Aputure COB120T. It's a lot, it's a big mouthful, but essentially the link's right there. Go get it, and it is magnificent. I've been using this for all of my videos in our studio, and love it. I can't recommend it highly enough. And again, I'll do a full review of that, how I set it up, what gear I use as well, in a future video as well. So, video light, or the light itself, is going to make a huge difference to the production, right? Like the Blackmagic stuff, right? So, my latest, I just received these from B&H. It's like Christmas when I get stuff in from B&H. But you know what? The biggest reason, and this is the important takeaway from this video as well, that isn't gear related. I really believe that now is the time of the rise of live. Okay, so live streaming is the it right now, and why? Right? There's a lot of reasons why. I think there's a reason why you need polished videos, and you know, when production matters, with the nice intro, the nice outro, with the polish factor. But I really think that live streaming is going to bloom in a huge way right now for a lot of reasons. And one of the main reasons is because I think a lot of people are jaded with videos as well. And there's a side of authenticity when people are live streaming. Of course, that means making mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I've been learning a ton from live streaming daily on Facebook and YouTube. But the fact of the matter is that live streaming gives you a chance to be more real with people as well. And so authenticity matters in this day and age. I also feel that live streaming is way easier because you don't have to edit the content, all right? Now, this is assuming that you have a voice, you have content that matters to people, and you can deliver it in an effective way that people want to listen. Now, those are all things that are multifaceted, that are beyond the scope of this, but live streaming is really important, I think, for not in the future, but right now. I like the Blackmagic web presenter, all right? Because even though this is made by Blackmagic, and you know, Blackmagic has a great reputation, I've heard that there are issues with it, that the audio sync and the video sync are not in sync. And so there's also other issues, like when you have the video out to a monitor, whenever you switch from camera to camera, that it actually disappears. And so that's a problem, right? That's not good. So it's not a perfect solution, but they just released this web presenter this year, and I think they're trying to capitalize as well on the rush to go live in a professional, and your computer, and what your computer can be eaten up, right? So that's going to be important for this. But I hope I'm going to be smart panel. Okay, so with the smart panel, this web presenter, it has two inputs on the back. Okay, it's got one that's HDMI, and it's got another one that is what they call SDI. Okay, so two inputs. Now, I don't have any cameras that have an SDI output that can feed this beast to the SDI. I just have HDMI outputs, all right? So, but what if you had two cameras, all you need to do is buy this little guy. And this is the microconverter. It changes the HDMI to an SDI so it can plug in two cameras. Okay, why, Dave, would I want to plug in two cameras? Well, you can't do it with just the web presenter, but if you bought, like me, the smart panel, what this panel will do, it just goes literally on top, just one screw, I think it changes it out, and it goes on top of the web presenter's front panel, replaces the panel, and you can live switch between two different cameras. So if you had like an overhead camera and you had a front view camera, you could switch with that physical button on the smart panel whenever you want between the two cameras. So that's pretty cool. What it can't do is show you both of those feeds at once, okay? So you couldn't have like a picture-in-picture where one camera is in front and the other one's big. Not yet anyways. It's just going to be switching between the two. And so I also purchased the HDMI to SDI so I can get two of my DSLRs into this live feed and switch at will. So you can do a lot of stuff there too. So pretty cool, pretty amazing. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys too. What are your thoughts on going live? And what questions do you have for me too? You know, I really think that we're on just the cusp of something here because the technology is getting more accessible. You don't have to spend a lot to get great quality even in your home. I'm in my basement right now, all right? So I'm hoping to be able to help you through that journey as well if you're on the same track as me too. But thanks for watching. I'm gonna get to some of the comments, and so I might crop this section out later. But God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. Now, let's take a peek here. And I think we're good to rock and roll.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email to a colleague. Or a post on Facebook that all your friends will see. Or a paper for your English class that you just have to get an A on.
This is part of our demo today, for our live webinar, so we don't get cut off. So hi, guys, how you doing? Thanks for watching today, and thanks for tuning in, giving us your time. My name is Josh Clements, and I'm a video content specialist here at Boxcast, and I work in everything from live video to post-produced video to filmmaking and the whole gamut of video production.
And my name's Wade Clark, and I'm the media director at Bowman Media, but I also work here at Boxcast in technical support. So if you're ever calling in or chatting in, you might get me on the phone, and I get the pleasure of talking to you.
Yeah. So we'll switch over to our PowerPoint presentation now, so you don't have to look at us full screen anymore. And let's go ahead and hop into it. So like I said, let me move this over just a little bit. Sorry about that. So we introduced ourselves, obviously, and one thing I want to get started with is the fact that Wade and I we own a video production company together that we started 4 years ago. Why some things are more expensive than other things, and what you're actually paying for when you pay for the $5,000 camera versus the $300 camera. So that
is more professional audio inputs, essentially.
Yeah. So anytime you get to a professional level of inputs and outputs with video equipment, you're going to end up spending over $1,000. No. the ability to rack mount it. So you can see these two lips on the side, on the left and right of the product. That allows you to put it in like a gator case or some rack mounted system, or maybe like a huge video rack if you're in like a large church. So that's another thing that kind of goes with it. And then just like the camera we recommended before, it takes in 4K video. So you're also increasing your ability to have higher quality video on top of that. So, you know, graphics, lower thirds, titles, logos, a lot of switches do that. But I would say the actual connectors and the rack mountability and the 4K video is what makes this thing so expensive.
And you can, I mean, this one has 10 SDI inputs.
Yeah.
You could do 10 cameras if you really wanted to.
If you wanted to, you can do quite a bit of different things. You can control it through a PC or an iPad. There's a USB port on the back, which allows you to control it, or you can just control it on here by clicking all these different buttons. There's some cool effects. Like I said, there's a picture-in-picture effect. You can program buttons to do different effects. You can do green screening. You can do logo overlays. Kind of everything that you would want. So if you just click this little A button, that would bring us back to our picture-in-picture. We can release it just as simple as that. There's a nice little fader bar, so you can do some transitions. Wow, look at that. How crazy. I hope nobody uses those in their live events, but you never know. So there's a transition button there. You can do some fades. You can do fade to whites right there. A little fade to black right there. And then not only that, the other sweet thing on the back of this, I can't really see it here, but there's RCA inputs and outputs. This actually has a 12-channel audio mixer in it too.
Right, but so you're asking why, essentially, what it costs. It's just a light that lets you
and stuff like that.
But it's not going to makes the tripod more sturdy.
As what's known as 12G SDI, which is the optimal input for signal receiver for 4K video.
Mm-hmm.